Welcome to the Self-Performance Strategies Podcast. Unlocking the secrets of self-performance so you can improve mentally, emotionally, and physically. The goal of this podcast is to help you create more freedom of time, money, and purpose. My name is Stephen, and I am your host. I believe there is always an easier way, and I am here to help you find it. Let's jump in to the SPS podcast. Welcome to the SPS podcast, the Self-Performance Strategies podcast. This is episode 4. I am your host, Stephen, and in today's episode, we're going to be talking about something that's very dear to my heart, something that has really helped me take massive leaps forward in my self-performance and in my journey in my life, and that is focusing on raising your floor first. In my opinion, the personal development industry, the productivity industry, tricks you into thinking that you've got to be the best version of yourself every single day. That is really, really hard to do. To have a bar that high that you keep trying to grab onto can get very stressful because you have these high expectations for yourself, but then life gets in the way and you never do everything on your to-do list. You never get to all the habits that you want to do. Things happen and you get derailed, and then you sit at nighttime and you beat yourself up because you didn't have an excellent day. You didn't use all the tricks and strategies that you read in some random productivity book, and you kind of beat yourself up, as I'm saying. And that is not the way to operate. That is not the way to operate. I want to show you an easier way. I want to show you a better way in this episode. But to start, like I do with all my podcast episodes, I want to frame this conversation with a quote. The quote says, "We do not rise to the level of our expectations. We fall to the level of our training." And that is from the ancient philosopher Archilochus. Now, I love this idea because we sink to the level of our bad habits. We sink to the level of our baseline when the shit hits the fan or when life gets in the way. We don't tend to step up every day and play above our potential. We play at an average. We have a rolling average that is there, and we sink to that on most days. So how do you improve your rolling average? Do you force yourself to perform at higher levels every day? Or, and this is the big or, and this is what you should do, you start looking at the dumb stuff that you do and you start removing that, because if you remove the dumb stuff, you fall to the level of your average, you fall to the level of your training. And if you're removing all the dumb stuff, your average or your training, your baseline is a lot better than it used to be. But let's dive in and talk about this in a little bit more depth. And I want to ask you a quick question. Are you frustrated with the highs and lows in your life? Are you frustrated with hitting highs, doing well for a few weeks and months, and then boom, you hit these floors, things go wrong, and you're in despair? It's okay if you are frustrated, because most people live their lives like that. Most people live their lives from boom to bust, from stop to start, from drama to distraction, derailed by self-sabotaging habits. That is how most people live their lives. Big wins or average wins followed by deep, painful lows. It's not the way that we want to live our lives. But you can change it by improving your self-performance. You can change it by looking at and reflecting on your wins and your losses. When you reflect on your wins, you want to ask yourself, how could I have done better? That's great. And then when you hit rock bottom, you want to reflect on, how did you get there? When you hit rock bottom mentally, emotionally, and physically, you need to ask yourself some tough questions. Now, most people who I actually work with one-on-one, when I first start working with them, they don't do this. And that's probably why they're working with me, because they've got stuck in a rut and they're not too sure how to get out of these peaks and valleys. But you have to find the root cause of your performance issues. You have to examine the process of how you go from on course and winning to crashing into a ditch and losing control. You have to find out why your performance is up and down like a pump and dump crypto coin. You don't want to be like that. You don't want to have these massive highs and think you're on top of the world. I'm a millionaire. And then boom, all your money goes. Coin crashes and you're back to zero again or minus. You don't want that. But why does boom and bust happen? Why does it happen? Well, it's pretty straightforward if you go back to what we were talking about with the quote from Archilochus. It happens because you never raised your floor. You never raised the level of your training. You still rely on old patterns and habits to overcome barriers. You may drink or party to relax, to get over stress. You may overeat to get over stress or to distract yourself. You may even watch lots of television, Netflix, video games, whatever that is. These are all habits that we use to avoid challenges in our lives. When things get tough, if you notice when you're stressful and you're going to the drinks cabinet or you're going and ordering lots of food, that is a bad habit that leads to your floor being lower. Take me for an example. I was brilliant at having a low floor in my 20s. I used to party hard when I was in my 20s. I didn't want to face the difficulties in life. No way did I want to face those difficulties. I wanted to go out at the weekend. I wanted to party. I wanted to drink. I wanted to be with my friends. And I wanted to use the weekend to, de-stress from all the challenges. But that's not healthy. I also used to watch all the TV shows, all of them. I used to game for hundreds of hours. There was lots of video games, PlayStation to using Steam and playing strategy games. That's all my time was filled with, was playing games, watching TV shows, and going out. I did most of that to avoid the negative feelings of facing the reality in my life, facing the hard truths. During this time, habits like reading, journaling, meditation were a joke to me. If someone said they were doing that, I would have called them a loser in my 20s. That's how I felt about those habits. Go and enjoy life. Why are you meditating and journaling? What do you think? You think you're a monk? That's literally the brain patterns and the thinking that I had, how low and subconscious I was at that age. I used to think that those habits were done by boring people with no social lives. Now, we fast forward 10, 15, 20 years, they're the foundations of my days. They're the habits that I use to keep myself on course and overcome struggles. Now, if I was to take an honest reflection of my reality today and where my floor is today, I have raised my floor so much that distraction and time wasting, getting lost scrolling on Twitter, being on TikTok, or doing low value work is now my floor. That is now my floor. But think how far that is from partying for 2 or 3 days in a row. Think how far that is from watching every TV show possible you can think of. Think how far that is from spending hundreds of hours a week or a month gaming. That's day and night. But you go back 10 or 15 years ago, that was my floor. That's why I had those peaks. When I got a promotion, I still had that low floor. I still had those bad habits. But I was always trying to get better in my life, but I wasn't improving the bad parts of me. Yes, I could focus at work. Yes, I could maybe bring some strategies and tips and techniques in, and I got promoted and I was able to get better at selling and I was able to make 6 figures. But underneath it all, I still had these horrible habits, these drinking, the partying, the gaming, the TV shows, and they would derail me. They would completely derail me. To improve my floor, I would focus on 5 key areas: meditation and reflection, reading and learning, planning and vision, working out and being healthy, and knowing your high value and high dollar activities. And let me quickly go through each of these just to give you a breakdown of how I use them and what I do with them daily or weekly to help me raise my floor, because this is what I focus on. I focus on these habits and I focus on not doing dumb stuff, and that has really raised my floor. And eventually old ceilings become new floors, and you keep looping up like that in your life if you remove the dumb stuff and you focus on these key strategies. The first one is meditation and reflection. If you don't like meditation or it's not something that you do, then just reflect daily. One common trait with all the clients that I have when I first speak to them is they don't have some type of weekly or daily reflection process in their business or in their days. A simple solution of journaling daily can have a significant impact on your floor, because if you're journaling daily, you can start to really call out the dumb stuff that you do each day. You can say to yourself, yeah, that was dumb stuff, what I did earlier in the day, watching TV or getting angry at something, whatever that is for you. So if you have that reflection process, you are able to call out that dumb stuff a lot easier, and that will raise your floor. Second one is reading and learning. Most people have stopped learning, or they don't make enough time for it. Both are not ideal if you want to raise your floor. In business, you need to constantly develop your skills. In life, you need to constantly have positive inputs. If you want to raise your floor, if you want to be better, you've got to bring those new ideas in, because you can't raise your floor if you haven't got new ideas. If you're not bringing new ideas or new solutions to your life, you can't raise that floor. So make sure that you're listening to a podcast like this one, or you're listening to an audiobook, or you're reading some type of actual hardcover book, one in your hand. You won't regret the results you get from constantly reading and learning. The third one I want to talk about is planning and vision. Common traits of everyone who procrastinates and is overwhelmed is they have no planning, they have no short-term vision, and they have no long-term vision. A crazy stat is that 97% of people in life don't regularly write out or review their goals. How can you grow or improve your floor if you don't have targets and goals? It's a crazy stat to me. I can't believe that 97% of people don't write out and review their goals regularly. The fourth one that's going to help you raise your floor and improve your ceilings and just generally help you do less dumb stuff each day is working out and being healthy. I know these sound very straightforward and basic, but the majority of society don't actually do these habits. Most people drop these when life gets tough. Not being healthy is one that goes very quickly. The drinking starts, the binge eating starts, the gym no longer makes the schedule. You cause your own downfall because you break from routine. You cause your own downfall because you move away from the good stuff, and then you replace the good stuff with the dumb stuff because you're feeling stressed out. Remember, peak results need peak health. If you want to hit higher heights in your life, you need to have peak rest, because it has a direct impact on the results that you're able to produce. Fifth and final strategy I want to share with you in this podcast is know your high value and high dollar activities. Most of your days should be filled with these. But unfortunately, we let a lot of dumb stuff get in front of what is important to us. We let a lot of low value, quote unquote, urgent stuff get in the way. Most people I speak to only spend about 1 to 2 hours a day in these zones. You need to have that up at 4 or 5 or 6. And when you hit your negative floor, you don't actually do any of this work. When stress hits, when you have those difficult moments, and if you haven't improved your floor, you end up not doing any of your high value and high dollar work, because you end up doing email work, busy work. You get distracted by notifications because you want cheap and easy dopamine to make you feel better. And when you chase dopamine without effort, it destroys you. It traps you in this sort of very shallow loop of scratching around and doing lots of things. And that is quite a low floor, because when you get into that mood, and if you haven't improved yourself, you might lean on alcohol or eating food or distracting yourself for hours mindlessly with television, because you're looking for that dopamine release. You're looking for an escape from the pain, where realistically you need to cut that dumb stuff out and get focused on these 5 key areas that I've just discussed with you. These 5 key habits that will help you raise your floor: meditation and reflection, reading and learning, planning and vision, working out and being healthy, and knowing your high value and high dollar activities. Don't focus on only your ceilings. Don't get pulled into the productivity and personal development industry trap of thinking that you've got to be the best version of yourself daily. Success is fun. We all love big wins, but too many people focus only on the big wins and forget to upgrade their foundations. That is the point of this episode. Raising your floor and improving your foundations is the pathway to more significant success. You cannot ignore it. Start looking at the dumb stuff that you do. Start removing the dumb stuff. That should be your key focus if you want to make a breakthrough to the next level of your life, in your career, in your business. That's where you want to go. Thanks very much for joining me on this episode of the SPS podcast. If you want to reach out to me, you can hit me up on all my socials. That's Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Steve Timoney. It's STEVETIMONEY, Steve Timoney. Or you can go to my website where you'll see the podcast on my blog and my coaching offer all on the website, and that's at stephentimoney.com. Now I go with my full name, my proper name, my passport name on my website, which is Stephen, STEPHENTIMONEY.com. Thank you very much for joining me on this episode. I'm looking forward to talking to you, speaking to you in the next one. Make it a good one.